Today we are taking a look at Albedo from OVERLORD. This is the bunny white version in the One-Seventh Carat figure line by System Service. OVERLORD is a dark fantasy series built around overwhelming power, absolute loyalty, and the world of Nazarick led by Ain's wool gown. Within that story, Albedo is one of the most recognizable characters in the series. She serves as the overseer of the guardians of the Great Tomb of Nazarick, so she stands in a very prominent position among the cast and leaves a strong impression through both her presence and her role in the story. Today's highlights for this figure are the expression, the bunny outfit that makes full use of her body line, and the posing, especially the way the fingers adjust the costume. The first highlight is the expression. The narrow eyes, yellow irises, and vertical pupils immediately create a strong gaze, while the open mouth and the blush-like red lines on the cheeks add heat and softness instead of making the face feel cold. The heavy front hair falling down the center also helps, because it slightly divides the face without hiding the eyes and mouth, so the expression stays strong from more than one angle. The second highlight is the bunny outfit. The white costume uses gold trim to define the chest and torso very clearly, and the long vertical opening at the center helps emphasize both the fullness of the bust and the narrowness of the waist. Because the sides are cut deeply and the back is left open between the neckband and the lower costume section, the figure keeps a continuous body line from the chest into the waist and hips. The third highlight is the posing. The upper body twists while the chest pushes forward, and the two hands create separate points of attention, one near the face and one at the waist. The most memorable detail is the hand at the waist, because the fingers touch the gold-trimmed edge of the costume in a way that reads like she is adjusting it, which gives the pose a much more specific and vivid feeling. This channel brings you figure reviews and anime merchandise updates straight from Japan. If you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. The head is built around a heated and seductive expression. The eyes use yellow irises with narrow vertical pupils, and the strong upper eyelid lines make the gaze look sharp right away. At the same time, the lower eye shape stays open enough that the face does not become severe, so the expression keeps both intensity and softness. The cheeks include several thin red lines, and those marks add visible warmth to the face rather than leaving all of the emotional impact to the eyes alone. The mouth is opened widely, with a clear red outline and a lighter inner area, so it gives the expression a more inviting and animated feeling instead of a closed, distant one. The front hair plays an important role in how that face is framed. A thick central bang drops from the forehead down across the middle of the face, creating a vertical division that slightly interrupts the expression without hiding it. Around that, the rest of the bangs are separated into multiple sections, which keeps the forehead area from looking too heavy or too flat. Longer side sections fall down along the face and toward the neck, leaving narrow gaps between the hair and the skin so the outline of the head still reads clearly. Above the face, the character-defining parts give the top silhouette much of its strength. The horns project forward from the outer area of the hair, starting thicker at the base and tapering as they extend outward. Behind them, the bunny ears are attached by a white band that runs over the head. One ear rises high and straight, while the other bends outward near the top, and that difference keeps the silhouette from feeling too even. The color contrast between the white outer ear sections and the softer inner color also makes the upper part of the head easy to read at a glance. The hair behind the head adds most of the movement. It is gathered high into a ponytail, so the flow starts from an elevated point rather than falling low from the neck. Near the base, the mass stays thick and solid, but farther out, it separates into larger sections and opens wider toward the ends. The ends also use clear parts, and that makes the transition from the darker purple-blue hair into the lighter translucent tips much more noticeable. The upper body stands out because the pose pushes the chest forward while twisting the torso down into the waist. That creates a smooth curve from the neck through the bust and into the sides of the body, so the figure feels dynamic right away. At the neck, a white band sits closely around the skin, and a bow is placed at the front as a separate element rather than being treated as one flat shape. That gives the neckline a clear starting point before the eye moves down into the costume. The bunny costume is arranged to emphasize the body line very directly. The white cups rise over the chest with gold trim clearly outlining their upper edge, and below that, the torso section continues downward with a long vertical opening through the center of the body. This opening stays narrow near the top and becomes slightly wider lower down, which helps the surrounding white surfaces look slimmer. Along the sides, the costume cuts deeply toward the waist, leaving large areas of skin visible and making the transition from the chest into the waist especially easy to follow. The back view continues that same idea. The white neckband and the lower costume section are separated so a broad section of the back remains open between them. At the side of the waist, the gold trim meets a small diamond-shaped ornament before continuing toward the back, and that area gathers skin, white costume, gold edging, and decoration into one clear point. The arms add another layer without making the figure feel crowded. The purple parts are arm covers, not gloves, and the wrists use white cuffs with small gold details. One hand rises toward the face, while the other returns toward the waist and touches the gold-trimmed edge of the costume. That small gesture makes the pose feel more specific and active. The lower body begins with the high-cut line of the white costume, and that edge immediately defines the shape of the hips and upper thighs. At the front, the central white section narrows as it moves downward, while the gold trim runs along both sides and keeps the costume line sharp. At the outer waist, that gold line passes through the small diamond-shaped ornament and then continues toward the back, so the lower costume reads as one continuous layout around the hips. From the back, the costume is finished with a thin section crossing the upper hips and a white bunny tail placed at the center. That tail gives the rear view a rounded focal point instead of leaving the back dependent only on flat costume edges. The legs are arranged in a deep bent pose, but the two sides do not play the same role. One leg rises more prominently in the foreground with a strong bend at the knee, while the other extends farther behind the body and gives the figure more depth. Because of that difference, one leg builds tension near the body while the other extends the silhouette outward. The thigh-high sections use a darker purple tone, and a lighter band at the upper edge makes the transition from exposed skin to covered leg easy to read. From there, the leg line continues cleanly through the knees and calves without breaking the overall flow. At the feet, the white high heels keep the lower silhouette narrow and elegant. What makes the lower body especially strong is how clearly the costume edges, exposed skin, and bent legs work together. That is what gives the lower half such a strong visual presence. This figure is approximately 19 centimeters tall. That is about 7.5 inches. For size comparison, here's a 350 milliliter can. That's about 12 ounces in the US. Overall, Albedo, by System Service, stands out because this figure combines a heated expression, a bunny outfit that strongly emphasizes her body line, and a pose that feels active down to the fingertips. The head creates the first impact very effectively. The yellow irises, narrow vertical pupils, and strong upper eyelid lines give the eyes immediate intensity. At the same time, the open mouth and the red lines on the cheeks keep the face from feeling cold or distant, so the expression carries both sharpness and warmth. The central front bang also plays an important role because it drops through the middle of the face and slightly divides the expression without covering the most important features. Above that, the horns and bunny ears create a strong upper silhouette, and the difference between the upright ear and the bent ear keeps the top of the figure from looking too symmetrical. The ponytail adds even more movement, especially because the ends use clear parts that let the color shift into a lighter, translucent finish. The upper body works especially well because the pose and costume layout support each other. The torso pushes forward and twists into the waist, which gives the whole front view a flowing line instead of a simple static presentation. The white neckband, bow, chest cups, gold trim, and central opening are all clearly separated, so the costume remains easy to read even though it exposes a large amount of skin. The deep side cut and the open back between the neckband and lower costume section help carry the line of the body smoothly from the chest into the waist. The purple arm covers, white cuffs, and small gold details also add a clean, layered look without overwhelming the pose. One hand near the face supports the expression, while the other hand at the waist creates the most memorable gesture in the figure. The lower half gives the piece much of its visual power. The high-cut costume line defines the hips strongly, and the gold trim keeps that edge sharp as it wraps from the front into the back. The bunny tail at the rear gives the back view a compact focal point, which helps finish the costume theme clearly. The bent legs also work very well because they do not mirror each other. One stays more prominent near the front, while the other extends farther behind, so the lower body gains depth instead of looking compressed. The darker thigh-high section and the white heels help complete the leg presentation cleanly without pulling attention away from the pose itself. What makes the full figure especially successful is the way every section supports the same idea. The head gives intensity, the torso gives curve, and the lower body gives extension. The pose leads the eye naturally from the ears and face to the chest, then to the fingers at the waist, and finally down through the bent legs to the heels. Because of that, fans of Overlord or Albedo will definitely enjoy this piece. With that focus on an expressive face, a body-conscious bunny costume, and a pose made more vivid by the gesture at the waist, collectors who enjoy bunny figures with strong silhouette and motion should find it a very satisfying addition. That's it for this video. If there's any part of the figure you liked, feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.